issues here?
Honestly, she's disgusting. I think she hurt herself very badly. I think she hurt that whole
Cause.
yeah. I thought her and a couple of others, but I thought she was, in particular, I thought what she said was disgraceful to our country.
In today's episode of The World is on Fire, but let's laugh anyway. President Donald J. Trump, in a moment of unscripted, unfiltered, and quite possibly uncaffeinated clarity, took to a podium and did what he does best. Insult a celebrity like it's 2016. And Twitter never banned him. His latest target, none other than the queen of pop herself, Madonna Louise Veronica Ciccone, a woman who has survived the 80s, cone bras, and Sean Penn. Yes, folks, in a press conference that was supposed to be about infrastructure and inflation, Trump decided America needed to know that Madonna is disgusting. But what could be the reason for Trump to say such things?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House, but I know that this won't change anything.
Oh no. She said what now? Of course, Madonna didn't actually mean it literally, but try explaining nuance to a man whose entire reading list is menu options at McDonald's. Trump saw the clip, replayed it 15 times, had a staffer print it out on gold-plated paper, and then stormed onto Truth Social with all the subtlety of a marching band on bath salts. Now, for context, Madonna didn't say she was going to do it. She didn't draw up blueprints. She didn't sneak TNT into the rose garden in a guitar case. It was a metaphor, part of a broader statement about anger, protest, and yes, possibly regrettable phrasing during a charged political moment. But since she didn't actually threaten violence, wasn't planning anything, and clearly stated it was a metaphor, no charges were filed, no arrests, no FBI standoff, just some media rage and a lot of pearl clutching. If you are enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so Madonna won't come at you next.
When you are really jacked up on your feeling, your emotions, I don't think that it served our purpose, because anger is not better than clarity and humanity. That is what opens people's minds. When you want to change people's minds, you have to share your real story. Yelling doesn't. It just jacks people up.
Right.
But it doesn't communicate any kind of humanity or any kind of story that would open another person's mind.
Just when the Trump versus Madonna saga was heating up like an unattended microwave burrito, another 80s legend waltzed into the chat, Cyndi Lauper. Yes, Cyndi girls just want to have fun. Lauper, the pop-punk rainbow-haired icon who once wore a chandelier as a headpiece, suddenly became the voice of moderation in a feud that had turned into a full-blown political opera. Now, in any other situation, Madonna and Cyndi quietly disagreeing on tone might have been left in the time capsule of 2017, along with fidget spinners, Cov Fef, and people pretending to like La Croix. Suddenly, the internet decided it needed to pit them against each other until again. Team Madonna versus conquers Team Cyndi. And just like that, the decade-old who was the real queen of the 80s debate was reignited like a discarded Aqua Net can near an open flame. Because you see, nothing heals political division like a celebrity catfight from 4 presidential terms ago. Lauper and Madonna have often been compared throughout their careers. As two of the most iconic female pop stars of the 1980s, they've rarely been in direct conflict. However, in this case, Lauper's remarks intended to be some level of personal attack, as well as a commentary on political messaging.
Was there a rivalry between you two in the day, or was that built up by the press?
Oh, she was going to be a wrestler, and I was going to be her manager, and it didn't work out, and we were fighting all the time about it.
How about this one?
See, my hair at that point, Madonna had blonde hair. So I said, okay, dog, I'll just put a black spot here so they know the difference between the two of us. Nah, I didn't think she liked me that much.
White-haired, Brooklyn-born, and once hailed as the other queen of pop. Before Madonna walked in and stole the crown, the throne, and the royal court in a single bustier-clad twirl. In the early 1980s, Lauper and Madonna debuted within months of each other. Madonna released her debut album in July 1983. Lauper's She's So Unusual came out that October. Both had massive hits. Both broke fashion norms. Both were brash, political, and unafraid. And by 1984, music journalists, TV hosts, and fans weren't just asking who's better. They were pushing the narrative that only one of them could survive. And Madonna? She wasn't exactly throwing compliments. While she rarely spoke about Cindy publicly, insiders have said she considered Lauper too soft, and that she was determined not to be seen as quirky or fragile. Madonna wanted dominance, empire, provocation, and headlines. Just when the world was ready to dust off the glittery gloves and declare a Cold War between Cyndi Lauper and Madonna, Cindy herself stepped in and dropped a truth bomb no one saw coming.
You and Madonna back then were pitted against each other.
Yeah, isn't that sad? There can only be room for one. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't like it.
Did you ever talk to her about it?
Nah.
And I'd explain to them why. And I would say, you know, I was disappointed that they used me to put another woman down. You know, and that was the only thing that I thought was really bad when they were doing one against the other, you know. Because that's not fair, you know. Because what she does is what she does, and what I do is what I do. And there's plenty of room in this world for everybody. You know, it's a big world.
Just when the world was ready to dust off the glittery gloves and declare a Cold War between Cyndi Lauper and Madonna, Cindy herself stepped in and dropped a truth bomb no one saw coming. There was never a feud. Not a real one. Not according to Lauper, anyway. That's right. After decades of speculation, side-eye quotes, and fan-fueled rivalry theories, Lauper finally addressed the elephant in the lace-covered room. In several interviews over the years, Cyndi Lauper made it clear that the Lauper versus Madonna rivalry was more of a media invention than a personal clash. In fact, she's gone out of her way to clarify that they were never enemies, never fought, and rarely even crossed paths.
And then right off, Madonna came. And I think she wore the corset to enslave men. And you were wearing the corset to free women.
Well,
Free women.
I don't think that Madonna thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think for her it was just something that looked good that she wore. I don't think that there's that much thought like that. Why should we be castrated? Why should we castrate each other? If that is where the woman's power lies for her, let her use it and be that.
Cindy herself admitted that the comparisons were frustrating, not because she disliked Madonna, but because she felt they were being reduced to products, not artists. And that's the key. It wasn't Cindy versus Madonna, it was the press versus the possibility of two women being successful at the same time without tearing each other down. Simple. Two powerful, eccentric, fearless women emerged at the same enormous and, surprise, the world pitted them against each other like it was a pop culture version of Highlander. Only one woman could wear outrageous outfits and redefine femininity, apparently. What Madonna said was bold, it was proactive, it instantly became a headline. And yes, it was the quote that sent the Secret Service, Fox News, and Donald Trump into full panic mode. But what did she really mean?
Okay, because we've gone as low as we can go. We can only go up from here.
Yeah,
so
hopefully.
what are we going to do to go up? You know, what are we going to do? We have two choices: destruction, creation. That's it. That's it. So I'm going down the road of creation, and you're all welcome to join me.
She says, it had to happen. I do believe that Trump was elected for a reason, to show us how lazy and ununified and lackadaisical we become about our freedom. Madonna seems to be hopeful in a bleak way. She says, they say it's always darkest before the dawn. I feel like it had to happen to bring people together. Let's get the party started.
So before delivering a speech that made the Secret Service sweat through their suits, after being dragged by Trump and dissected by cable news, Madonna said something no one saw coming. Something that made liberals spit out their oat milk and conservatives short-circuit from confusion. She said, in a way, we needed Trump to be elected. In an interview, she explained, we needed a jolt. We needed a wake-up call. This had to happen to bring people together. Madonna basically said what no one else wanted to admit, that sometimes society needs a political root canal to realize its teeth are rotting. Trump, in her view, wasn't just a president. He was a symptom. A neon orange, Big Mac eating, Twitter ranting symptom of a bigger sickness in the system. And what better way to treat it than with total unfiltered shock therapy? Now let's zoom in on the moment.
It took this horrific moment of darkness to wake us the up. It seems as though we had all slipped into a false sense of comfort, that justice would prevail and that good would win in the end. Well, good did not win this election. Let's march together through this darkness, and with each step, know that we are not afraid. The revolution starts here.
She didn't show up in the freezing DC wind, dressed like a fashion-forward revolutionary just to stir the pot for fun. She came with a mission. She came because, in her eyes, America needed to rise. To Madonna, the election of Donald Trump wasn't just politics. It wasn't a red versus blue thing. It was a spiritual collapse, a moral sinkhole, a collective moment where the country looked at itself and realized it had fallen asleep at the wheel, and driven into a ditch full of Twitter rants, broken norms, and zero accountability. She was speaking for every woman who had been dismissed, every immigrant who was scared, every LGBTQ+ person whose rights felt threatened, every person of color watching decades of progress teeter on the edge. She didn't actually want to blow up the White House. She wanted America to rise from the ashes of apathy. She wanted America to remember its power, not just to protest, but to change things. And in true Madonna fashion, she wasn't going to whisper that message. She was going to scream it in a black beanie on the steps of power while quoting poetry and cursing like a punk nun at Sunday service. Because when people forget their power, someone's got to remind them. And if that reminder comes from a woman in combat boots quoting Auden in front of 500,000 people, then so be it. Trump may call her disgusting, but history, it tends to call her something else. If you made it this far into the video, please check out our previous video of Barbra Streisand brutally taking down everything that Trump stands for.